In this episode of Detroit Performs, an organization provides students with communication distribution skills. An artist delves into defense mechanisms and capturing Mother Nature. It's all ahead on this edition of Detroit Performs.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929. Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Detroit Performs. I'm your host, DJ Oliver, and today I'm at the historic Penn Theater in Plymouth. Now we'll learn more about this theater later in the show, but first, let's head to the Detroit Public Library on Woodward, where the Get Ahead, Stay Ahead project is teaching students the art of media communication.
Everybody's thoughts are valuable and their ideas are even more so.
I'm just interested in learning about what it takes to get what my vision is out.
When kids get the skills to create videos, it gives them opportunities that they wouldn't necessarily have before, especially when it comes to creativity.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for our special effects workshop. I am Kyle.
The Get Ahead, Stay Ahead project is a nonprofit that does different workshops and also helps students to learn different communication skills, primarily through media.
I'm very interested in nonprofits, and I've worked with quite a few, and Kyle does film production, and we were both kind of talking about how to set kids up with different opportunities that we were kind of lacking at the time. Our whole idea is that we want kids to get ahead and then continue to stay ahead in the creative field. We provide opportunities for kids to engage in film and other creative opportunities at no cost to them. We really like to work with youth organizations around Detroit, and the library especially has been a really cool place because kids come here to learn, so for them to come in the door and get to do a workshop for the afternoon is a pretty cool thing. For the Detroit Public Library workshops that we host, as long as you are a teen, you can join.
I came to the Get Ahead, Stay Ahead project. Well, at first I didn't even know what the name of the program was. It was just like movie and film workshops at the Hype Center. And I just was interested in learning how to edit and film. So I just started working with them.
A lot of the kids are super creative already, and they come with a lot of ideas. So they just kind of need to know the details and behind it and kind of how to get the best shots and how to set it up and kind of storyboard and things like that. And they're always very excited to hold the camera and, you know, kind of work with each other to make something, turn their idea, you know, take it off paper and put it onto film.
And this screws in right here. You want to give it a try?
We try to break down the equipment as simple as possible. The cameras that we use are pretty simple. We don't go too in-depth with the technology. So we set it up to be pretty user-friendly for them.
But it would be cool if you can kind of move around a little bit, give a little bit of movement to it, because this one is going to be still. So
today they'll be working on a special effects workshop. So we're going to use the green screen, and Kyle and Luke are going to go a little bit into the history of special effects and kind of give some suggestions and tips, and then see what the kids want to make.
So you can see all of this is actually miniatures and paintings behind those miniatures to create the effect that you're in this huge city, which obviously in the 20s, this wasn't possible to go film or build this.
After that, we're going to start shooting, and then we will head over to the editing station and start editing.
We like to be kind of like a safe space because kids are being talked to, teached at all week long. So we like to kind of act as just a group of people that will bounce ideas off of each other.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Awesome.
Let's do.
We try and be as goofy as possible, to tell you the truth. I think that that helps them to relax quite a bit. It gets your creativity going. It brings up ideas that you may not have otherwise thought of.
It's really like fun working with everybody. If someone comes up with an idea that everyone likes, they start implementing and putting things in.
Oh yeah.
I think these workshops help them with collaborating with other people, also with understanding their ideas and planning out their ideas.
People should come to the Get Ahead, Stay Ahead project so you can learn, like if you have any interest being an actor, a film director, an editor, sound guy that like EQ stuff, like anything, you should just come learn the skills and you can do it on your own. And it's equipment at the Hype Center that you can use to like put your own projects together. I make music, I produce, and I DJ, and like seeing that I can make my own videos and like know what everything that goes into it, I can start having my vision out.
When we're able to show what we create in these workshops, I think it just shows how creative the kids are and how they can take something and turn it into something that's totally their own. Because we might help them with a little bit, but everything they leave with is something that they made start to finish.
The power is really with the youth. When you have more youth putting their creative ideas out and really working towards their goals and their visions, that's crazy. That's like a power to be messed with.
You can learn more about the Get Ahead, Stay Ahead project, as well as all the artists that we feature on DetroitPerforms.org. Next up, Scott Vincent Campbell explains the intricate thought that goes into executing his complex artwork and the fellowship of the Detroit arts community.
This whole body of work that I've been doing since starting in 2015 and extending up to the present day is all called Not Good But Well Behaved. And it looks at the defense mechanisms and strategies, kind of the little lies that we all tell ourselves or people we care about to avoid dealing with or confronting a more difficult or inconvenient truth about a situation. Across cultures were traditionally used to defend themselves. Gates, fences, houses, masks, and the rubber cord that you see coming through talks about the idea that none of these defense mechanisms are flawless. They all have kind of holes and parts where those emotions do come through it. The honesty of a situation, the reality of a situation does always break through that. So the rubber cord is meant to be showing these kind of efforts to move past that barrier. On the inside of all the sculptures is painted red. It's kind of a representative trigger color. It stands for lots of kind of raw emotions, raw human emotions, anger, love, passion. And on the outside of the sculptures is this matte black, non-reflective surface meant to be very kind of dense and, kind of imposing. I think one of the great things about making a visual art is just the second you decide to exhibit it, you have to be open to the idea of people bringing their own ideas and kind of emotions to a piece. So that's totally fine. I don't expect all of the kind of conceptual backing behind a work and all the personal references for me to come through, but I do hope to get across some of the kind of underlying emotions or feeling when you look at a piece. I think it's the natural inclination to say, what does this mean? And think of it as an equation, where a lot of the times I try and ask people kind of, what does it mean to you? Do you, don't think of it as right or wrong. What does it make you think about? What do you think it is about? And oftentimes I think you'll find an in. I like to think that the works are layered and complex enough that there'll be an in for different people. I did a whole body of work that was looking at chess drawings, and so I was a competitive chess player, and it really shaped the way I look at problem solving, the way I look at the world, the way I think about my own goals, both career and personal, that I want to achieve, and my approach to doing that. This is the body of work I mentioned before, looking at language. And for me, chess really was, did this series of drawings that mapped out chess games. I kind of did some tests and figured out what length chess game made for the nicest picture in terms of how cluttered or how dense it was, how much negative space there was to how much positive. But I grew up in Upper Manhattan on 92nd and 2nd, and then my family moved out to Queens in between 9th and 10th grade, out to Jamaica, Queens, and that's where my parents still live. Both of my parents are from Queens, and like I said earlier, I moved to Detroit at the beginning of 2016. The art worlds are really different. These cities operate in very different ways, and you can feel like you can get lost in New York. You're in your own little bubble, and I just feel engaged with the city in a different way here. I think that size sometimes leaves it feeling somewhat unmanageable, sometimes very impersonal, and sometimes not very supportive. You might have your own kind of small friend group, or kind of professional network that's really supportive, but it can, I think, feel really easy to get lost. And one of the things I really noticed kind of off the bat in Detroit was how open and accepting and supportive the entire art world seemed here. I moved here, no one really knew me here. I knew a couple of people doing the residency at Red Bull, and people were, wanted to come by the studio, wanted you to come by their studio, told you about openings you should go to, and I noticed that you always saw, people always made the effort to get out to one another's shows, promote their shows, and there was this very much kind of what felt like genuine happiness for other people's success that sometimes in New York, either you think whether or not jealousy is more involved or not, because the art world is a little bit more kind of hyper competitive in New York. But there was just this kind of this feeling of support here that was palpable and really attractive to me.
What's up, guys? I am here with Ellen Elliott, who's the executive director here at Penn Theater. How you doing, Ellen?
Good, DJ.
All right, so I am excited to be here. You've renovated this place, right?
We have,
So tell us a little bit about the history of this theater.
Well, the theater was actually built in 1941, and it was actually the second movie theater in Plymouth. It started as a single screen, and it was the most modern theater of its time. It was packed every night. So the Penn Theater actually was very successful throughout the years of television coming into play, VHS, DVDs, all that stuff. It survived. It changed ownership several times, and in 2003, it was closed for remodeling. It was one of those things that the community saw as a warning sign that it was probably going to go away. So in 2005, community group started called Friends of the Penn. So we formed the nonprofit, and by 2006 we acquired the building and we reopened the theater in September 2006. And since 2006 we've been able to renovate the entire auditorium.
It looks beautiful, y'all.
The marquee was updated. Yeah. All the systems have been updated, and it was all through the generosity of our donors. Yeah. We have a fantastic base of donors.
Why is there a need for a movie theater in a town square like this, though, in Plymouth?
This is what brings people here. You can go out for dinner, but what else are you going to do? You can sit in the park, which is nice, but to have something else to bring people here. So many small towns have lost that. And it's not just a place to come, it's also the history that's here.
And how often do you guys show movies here?
We're open Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
And we change our movies every week. So we have patrons that come every week. We get to know what they like. They like butter on their popcorn or not, which actually we have real butter on our popcorn.
All right,
not the fake stuff, I know, right? So it's just a great place for people to bring their families and to enjoy a cinematic experience in a single screen, big screen.
And what kind of movies do you show here?
We show a wide variety of movies. We show family films. We show classics in the summer. Okay. Some art films. We try and mix it up.
You do show the recent movies that have been out too, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Current movies. We usually get them about 2 months after they initially come out.
Okay.
It's just a nice mix.
All right. So you've been the executive director here for over 10 years. What's your favorite part about working here, Ellen?
My favorite part about working here is the people. I love my staff. I have just a wonderful staff. I love the patrons that come in. I feel that we provide a community service. It's just a great place for people to come, and that's the people are my favorite part.
And there's also a beautiful park right next to the theater, right?
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you, Ellen, for talking to us. We appreciate that.
You are welcome.
Thank you. All right, guys, let's check out some upcoming events happening in and around the D. In the midst of dangerous weather, we find nomadic filmmaker and photographer Stephen Locke. With every moment, he prepares to capture Mother Nature's fury on camera. Here, we join his journey into the storm.
One of the things that's beautiful in this world, one of these things as humans that we find beautiful is power, great power. And thunderstorms have great power. So as we watch a thunderstorm coming across the plains, the rain is falling and that's nurturing the soil and the crops. But at the same time, you have torrential rain and destructive hail and deadly lightning. So when you're watching a supercell thunderstorm, with or without a tornado, you're watching the act of creation and destruction simultaneously. Storms, of course, are very dramatic and very exciting, especially on the Great Plains. Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, those center states right through the middle of the country. These have the strongest storms in the world. Well, the season is generally springtime into early summer. That's when the atmosphere is most volatile and capable of producing supercell thunderstorms. The first thing I do when I get up in the morning is forecast. There's some basic data that I look at. I try to give myself a sense of what the atmosphere looks like 10 days out, 5 days out, 3 days out. Severe storm forecasting is just a tool to get you into close proximity of the storm. Ultimately, my purpose in being there is art.
But I bet you this may be the storm that moves into Kansas.
All good. Relax. Don't grip the wheel, you know. It's a little tense.
When you're in chase mode and you're watching these storms develop, you're in a hurry. A lot of times I don't get to fully enjoy the storm till later on when I look at those images or look at Stephen's time lapse.
You have to work quickly, and it is difficult to compose the image quickly, particularly because you're driving into a landscape that you've never looked at before. You don't know what's over the next horizon, and the storm is evolving rapidly, and so you have to jump out now and make it happen.
Scud rising everywhere. Yeah. So this is the updraft region of the storm.
Sometimes I'm lucky, you know, I've been oftentimes looking for a spot to shoot a storm, and then there'll just be this cute little abandoned building. A gift from the universe that I pull up and put that into my shot. I like for myself and for my viewers to see how the storm evolves. I want people to be able to look at my time-lapse movies and look at that and say, yeah, I can see how a supercell moves.
There are chases we go on where, you know, it might be a cap bust. You know, the storms just don't develop. Everything looks good, the ingredients are there. Sometimes it just doesn't happen, but when it does, it's very rewarding.
Oh, wow. Check that out. That actually looks really nice.
There's a lot of work in what Stephen does. It's amazing to watch him set up 2-3 cameras. You know, he's got a few different things he uses and gets his tripods out.
I was initially disappointed in the structure of that storm, and at the time I was shooting it, I really didn't feel good about what I had, but when I got back and looked at the images and the time-lapse on the computer screen, I actually was pretty impressed with the quality of the light coming from the sunset. We had that warm alpenglow, that warm, sweet light, and the storm has got enough movement and enough gorgeous light that I think it's actually a nice time-lapse. For years, I had always wanted to shoot a shelf cloud coming over the downtown area. So for many years, I've been running down to Liberty Memorial to shoot storms coming over the city. I remember wondering, should I go, should I not go, and it turned out to be a really beautiful storm. And that was a storm that impacted a lot of people in the metro area because, you know, it was one of those busy Friday nights where everybody's out on the town and everyone's watching this very scary cloud come over the city. I love supercell thunderstorms. Nothing gets me present the way a supercell thunderstorm does. And in fact, I can remember, you know, some of the very, very earliest experiences I would have in the middle of nowhere with thunderstorms at night. You know, I'm having this euphoric spiritual experience. You know, over time I've learned that just means that you're absolutely present. The past dissolves, the future dissolves, and you're absolutely present with what is.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on coming arts events. Also, check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'd like to thank the Penn Theater for having us out here today. I'm gonna stick around for a movie, y'all. So until next Tuesday, get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. I'm DJ Oliver. Thanks for watching, guys.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929. Funding is also provided by the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs and the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.